All right, welcome back to the Tul World podcast. I'm your host, David Ju, and I'm here with Master Ju.
Hello, Mr. Ju.
Hello. All right, this week we're going to be talking a little bit about where is Taekwondo going. How it's kind of be like changing in relation to a lot of like different martial arts that have come about. Rise of MMA.
Right.
Boxing has kind of come back in some ways.
Has it?
It's a little bit more on the front line because of certain people
pushing it.
Like Jake Paul.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
You can say what you want to say about the guy, but you can say he has made it quite popular. And I don't want to say boxing is not popular, but he's really there's Netflix in there,
that's true.
There's millions of dollars. So
I guess he's kind of pushed it. He's kind of promoting it.
I would say to the general public, it's become even bigger.
Really? I didn't know that.
But I always think it's always been popular, and you had some people like Manny Pacquiao was fighting Conor McGregor. That was pretty big back then. But I think recently, I want to say it's gotten even more popular. I want to say that.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm more involved, more seeing more of that. Maybe I'm a little bit older, on TikTok or YouTube, and people.
I guess it depends on what you start clicking on.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it's that true too. Yeah.
Right.
So maybe it's not more popular.
Boxing doesn't show up on my TikTok.
Maybe
I don't have TikTok.
Well, I also for some reason get football stuff, and I watch that. And
you don't watch that.
But I don't really watch football, so I don't know. Yeah. But that's besides the point. So where exactly is Taekwondo going, and what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think things go in phases, right? I think in the 60s, in America anyway, karate. All the schools were karate.
In the what? 60s?
60s, I would say. And in the 70s, the Kung Fu, Chinese martial art, Bruce Lee kind of brought that in. But you also know that he did have a Taekwondo background. All those kicks.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of Kung Fu places around here, I feel like.
And maybe that's coming back.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Because then it kind of died out. And then Taekwondo kind of became kind of popular, especially because of the Olympics, right? And then UFC kind of comes in, and all of a sudden, Jiu-Jitsu is really big, really popular, and people say, "Oh, Taekwondo, and that's not any good."
Yeah.
I don't know. We can have arguments about that, but now you look at Taekwondo is becoming more popular, especially with the MMA guys. I mean, with Conor McGregor, I think he's, he trains with one of our guys in Ireland, because they are Irish. Yeah,
and there's also some other MMA fighters that I've seen doing ITF patterns, probably from their background. They probably started in Taekwondo, and then they graduated into more of a full contact kind of thing. Right. And I think we do see that a lot even in our ITF, other organizations I've seen where the top fighters, transition or they start doing something else. And that's not to say that they don't do Taekwondo anymore, but they've kind of try to push it to the limits, right, of what they want to do and where they want to go.
Yeah, I think it's kind of where you want to go, right? I mean, not everybody wants to be a full contact fighter.
So where would you say where Taekwondo lies? Because you talked about, karate rise, fall, Kung Fu, right, it's up and down. Taekwondo could be up and down. Jiu-Jitsu can be up and down.
I think so. I mean, it's just a fad. I mean, you see, even in the general public, what's the latest fad in workout? Well, for a while, it was cardio kickboxing, and then it was Pilates, and then it's yoga, and then it's that kettlebell thing or whatever.
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get bored. But it doesn't go away. You don't see as many of them. And businesses are like that too. I remember Krispy Kreme was the hot, a little donut thing. And they were exploding everywhere. And then all of a sudden they're kind of nowhere. Starbucks they can last a long time, and then they kind of have to regroup. And then maybe reinvent themselves, I guess.
Right.
Is Taekwondo
it's not
just
that
way? I don't know.
Well, in some of these businesses too, it's not just about what is people interested in, but also management of it, right?
Right. Well, I guess Taekwondo could be that way too.
Yeah, that's true, exactly. So people that do that own McDonald's, I know that the startup cost is really high. If I want to own a McDonald's, and that's because they generate a certain number of money, right?
Right.
But then I also know
More likely to be successful.
Yeah. And then Subway, on the other hand, it was like, I don't know, to own the franchise, it was only like $10,000. I could open up a Subway.
In circumstances too.
But then that created a whole bunch of stores, which ended up, closing too. Right. So.
Right.
Who knows? It could be the product. It could be the management.
Could be.
Too, right?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
So, in your opinion, where do you see Taekwondo going?
My personal opinion is that I think that Taekwondo will be here, especially traditional. I still think that, I think there's a lot of schools that would, want to cut out certain things just because it's not exciting. But yet, on the other hand, a lot of that's the fundamentals. And I think you need fundamentals. You have to have good fundamentals, and that will take you to wherever you want to go. And if you don't have those fundamentals, then it's not going to help. And so I think that for me anyway, I kind of think if I stick to the fundamentals and stick to Taekwondo the way it should be done, and help the person to get to be where they want to get to, give them the fundamental skills, and then if they want to go do ultimate fighting, okay, go. I actually have a student that does bare knuckle fighting now. She was a pretty good fighter in class,
Yeah.
And so her experience up to first degree with us, and she was good, and then she wanted to pursue other things, and so her fundamentals are there. Take her wherever she wants to go. I think you got to have that, and I think that if martial arts schools or Taekwondo or any martial art, I think if they start to deviate a little bit and they just want to do it for the money, I guess, then and that's kind of just watered down. Then.
So would you say most sports actually branch into like the sport aspect as it grows? It becomes more of a sport, would you say?
Well, look, there's certain things that are exciting and certain things that are easy to do, right? And so does that 5-year-old want to sit down and listen to the history of Taekwondo? Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to tailor the classes to that. But if all of a sudden you decided to, if the whole industry decided to go, oh, well, we're just going to cut out, the meaning of this and the meaning of that, and we're going to cut out these techniques because they don't really work, or they don't really, you don't actually see it in combat as much.
Yeah.
Because some of the things like what we do in ITF Taekwondo, some of the techniques you look at and it's like, what the heck?
Right.
I've never seen that in a fight. No, that might be true. But I always kind of think of it as training the body. And from a theoretical point of view, yes, it's possible that some of these techniques could work in that way.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Right.
That's just like maybe even engineering. Theoretically, this is the way it's supposed to do. You do it, but in real life, it doesn't work out that way. And you have to change it up. For any martial art, it's going to come down to the fundamentals. And if the art's going to survive, they've got to still, in a way, stick to those roots. Taekwondo is not always about sport. It's not always about self-defense. It can be that. But I think there's also more to it. I think a lot, like right now, we have a lot of kids. Is Taekwondo predominantly children? I'm not sure. Around the world, it does seem that way.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not. Right. There are adults, of course.
Yeah.
From that point of view, it's not always about fighting. I don't know if I'd want to send you as a kid to go to MMA and get beat up on every day. You definitely learn a lot from that.
Well, it depends on what are they doing. I've never been to an MMA school.
Right, but
they might be just doing the same thing that we do here.
That's true.
Right?
They're just doing the fundamentals.
And kicking. And
well, when you think of MMA, they're on top of each other, pounding each other in the head. There might be schools like that.
There could be. I don't know. Yeah.
And are they ready for that? I don't know. But I think a lot of times, when I ask parents, why do they do Taekwondo? Well, a lot of it's discipline, right? To be focused, to be disciplined, to be respectful.
Yeah.
And so I think parents want that. I think that's always been the case. And so I don't think that that will ever kind of go away. And so if that's the case, then, traditional martial art might offer that. And so it won't go away.
All right. Well, let us know you guys' thoughts on where you guys think Taekwondo is going.
Yes.
And
where is it going?
Yeah. And just as a whole, not I guess not particular to Dojang or the whole organizations.
Organizations.
Right,
Well,
in
organizations
Taekwondo.
can come and go.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I put the S. Organizations.
Organizations,
See where that goes.
regardless.
Yeah. Anyways, let us know you guys.
KTA, ATA,
Yeah.
UFC.
Well, let us know you guys' thoughts. As always, be safe.
Keep training.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Taekwondo.